10 years ago, my life changed forever. I was 16 and I had just bought my first car. It was a 2001 E46 BMW 330i, Alpine white with a beige interior and an automatic transmission. But that was not always the plan. When I was a kid, I always dreamt of being in the tech field. So much so that when I was in the 7th grade, I actually already had my own small business where I was repairing and configuring all kinds of tech. But all of that changed once I got my first car. This car made me an enthusiast. A lot of people even said it made me obsessed with cars. And that might be the case, but I was very lucky. I had just found my passion at the age of 16. But things don't always go according to plan. Many of you might not know this, but I actually sold my first car when I turned 17. I wanted to learn how to drive manual, and I thought the best way to do that would be to go ahead and buy a manual transmission car. I ended up purchasing another E46 that was already a manual. It's crazy how life goes though, because I actually did my first ever S54 swap into that manual E46. And after I finished the conversion, I actually ended up running back into my first car. And I actually got the opportunity to buy it back. And once I bought it back, I knew exactly what I had to do. It's been about 7 years since I uploaded my first ever YouTube video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today is a very special day for me. This is my first car right here. And the whole purpose of the YouTube channel was actually for me to document the S54 swap into my first car. It turned on! But I actually had a lot of other projects going on at the same time, and I had already learned so much about cars that I thought it would be a great platform for me to make informative videos and DIYs so I could help as many others as I could. And that's how Shop Life TV was born. Going through that whole experience of selling my first car and buying it back, I knew that I would never part ways with it again. This car means so much to me, more than any of the other cars that I own, mainly because it's always been a learning tool for me. As we've always been told, one thing that nobody could ever take away from you is your knowledge. Knowledge is power. Most of my life decisions, whether it was moving to California, opening up a shop, moving back to the Carolinas, they have all been influenced by one thing: my will to learn. And what better way to continue this than with the car that started it all? Here goes the last drive. So this is it. It's my final drive in my first car with the S54 swap. And I can hear that exhaust drone and it sounds, I feel right at home. But honestly, I thought I would be a little bit more emotional, you know, with this final drive in this form. This car has been pretty much as it is for the last 6 years, 7 years. I haven't really changed much. Once I finished the S54 swap, I was very content. And I think part of this whole thing to blame is Selena's fault, because she wanted to do the LS swap in her car and she got me spoiled because I enjoy the LS car much more than mine now. But even then, I mean, this was my first car. It is my first car, and the swap taught me so much. This S54 swap into here was, you know, back at that time, it was not as common as it is now. And this was my first ever manual conversion as well. So there was a lot of firsts I've had with this car. My first date with Selena was in this car. Everything, a lot of my firsts were all in this car, which is crazy. Take that as you will. But yeah, even my first time getting pulled over, this car.
Mine too.
Oh yeah, she got her first ticket. I didn't get my first ticket in here. I got my first ticket in her car, and she got her first ticket in my car. Wow. But honestly, the time has come. Part of the reason I'm not so emotional is because I'm still keeping this car. I'm never getting rid of my first car again. And I'm also keeping the S54. It's gonna be going to an even crazier project. And eventually, this car is gonna have an even crazier swap powertrain. I'm not even entirely sure the exact route I'm going with it. I just have a bunch of items on my wish list. But before we really do stuff into this car, I want to make sure I get that S54 into its new home, and that's going to also be a learning experience for me. So I'm super excited. All good things, honestly, because at the end of the day, I'm doing all this so I can learn more and grow more. And it will even provide, hopefully, some entertaining content for you guys. And now, honestly, the car needs some work. The pulley started squeaking as soon as I turned it on for the final drive. The check engine light is on, and the traction control light came on a couple weeks back. So the car is definitely due for some maintenance, and what better way to do all the maintenance than tear everything back apart. But I really hope you guys tag along on this new journey for the S54 and eventually for my car. You guys will probably not see this car for the next few months because it's gonna get stripped and then parked. But you guys will definitely see what we end up doing with the S54 in the next few videos. Some of you guys have been watching and supporting for the last 7 years, and some of you guys even before that, back to the forum days. Regardless of when you joined on my journey, I hope you guys stick it through, and I can't wait to show you guys what all I have planned. I'm gonna miss that rattle. I know I'm gonna fix it this time for sure. There's a rattle from the trim in the back. Every time you get to a certain RPM, it rattles. I'm not a big fan of this exhaust drone, so that's gonna be completely changed with the new power plant. The tint is starting to bubble up. Time for some new tint. Tint. The radio doesn't work because I switched it. This will prove that this car was a learning experience for me. So back when I first got my car back, when I bought it back, I had to replace the radio, and I wanted to keep it OEM plus, so I decided to go with, you know, the 2002 and newer radios which have the aux input capability. But my car's a 2001, so the antenna doesn't really line up. It doesn't attach to this 2002 and newer radio. So what you have to do is you have to buy an adapter. But back then I didn't know that there was such an adapter. So I thought, I'm so smart, I'm just gonna cut the antenna cable off, get the newer style antenna cable, and then graft the two together, and bam, radio. 6 years later, still no radio, because that's not how it works. You have to change the entire cable and change the actual FM module in order for you to get that signal to be used with the newer style radios. So yeah, we don't have radio in here, but at least the aux works. I still can't shift.